Promises. Written by Just Thinking Drabbles. Read by Arashi. Felix returned from the battlefield bloody and exhausted, with his sword still clutched tightly in his hands. It wasn't a new feeling, far from it, and the worry that he felt after long, grueling fights wasn't either. But this was a different sort of concern, the kind that sunk deep into his stomach and rattled him so much that he felt his body shaking. He hadn't seen Sylvain but once, at the very beginning of the battle, and it caused a terrible thought to cross his mind. What if he was... But no, he refused to entertain it, as he carried himself through the camp in search of him. He was not dead, he told himself to help calm his nerves, and though he couldn't be sure if it was true, he still did his best to have faith in those words, to have faith in Sylvain. The man may always slack off with his training, and didn't take a lot of things seriously, but they had a promise to keep, and damn it if he wasn't going to make sure he kept it. Sylvain wasn't allowed to die. Not now, and not without him by his side. Realistically, he knew that a silly promise made when they were just kids didn't stand much of a chance when they were at war, and he knew it couldn't protect them from being struck down by skilled soldiers and their carefully crafted blades. Their battles were endless, and no one was guaranteed a tomorrow. But still, he wouldn't give up hope. He had never given up on Sylvain before, and he wasn't going to start now. Then, just as he began to think the worst, and he felt panic overwhelm him, he finally found him. As if Sylvain sensed his gaze on him, he looked up too, smiled that easy smile of his, and Felix broke. Tears flooded his eyes, and he dropped his sword into the mud and ran towards him, careless of the blood still staining their clothes, as he met Sylvain with a forceful hug that caused them both to fall to the ground. He heard Sylvain's low chuckle as he wrapped his arms around his back and squeezed tightly. "Hey, Fee," he said, as he tucked a dark lock of hair behind his ear. Felix wasn't one for words, so he responded instead with a gentle hand to Sylvain's cheek. He brought his face to his and closed the distance with a desperate, messy kiss. Felix grabbed a fistful of Sylvain's hair and pulled at it, as if trying to bring him closer than he already was, and a pleased hum escaped his lips when he did. How insatiable, he thought, as he smiled against his lips. Sylvain was safe. He was alive, and here, and wrapped in Felix's arms. At last, he felt his worries lift from his shoulders, and the weight around his chest faded into warmth. Was it perhaps naive to think that it was the thought of their promise that had kept them both alive? Possibly, but in that moment, Felix couldn't bother to care.